How y'all doing, everybody? Welcome to the Bayou Ballers podcast. We're here with a special episode because we are Saints fans and it's getting closer to the NFL season, you guys. We just took an L against the San Francisco 49ers this past, it was Sunday or Saturday.
Sunday. Yep.
Sunday, we lost, what was it, 16-10?
Yep.
16-10. Close game. But we're here to talk about our week 3 roster projections of who we think is going to make the team. And we're here to talk about this game, this past game. The Saints are now 1-1, one more game against the Titans coming up. And I looked at the tickets. The tickets are $1 to go to the game. Y'all know the last week of preseason, a lot of starters don't play. So that's that. But we're gonna open up with our thoughts on the last game. Derek Carr, the offensive line, defensive line, backup QBs, and defensive backers, because our guy Trey likes them very much, and y'all gonna see that a little later. But what you thought about the game, bro? And first of all, how you doing, though, bro?
Man, I'm doing good, bro. Midweek, almost to the weekend. I'm talking about football season, gearing up for my line of work. So we all excited, all the students and student athletes on campus. So shout out to them, wishing them a really good and productive academic year. So, and everything is good, man. And it is, talk about the game on Sunday. It was fine. I mean, for me personally, it's the preseason, so I just kind of look for
standout guys
and pieces and standout guys that either I might want to make the roster or at least kind of keep around the practice squad, stuff like that.
Okay.
But one thing that really stood out, man, is timing is still a little bit off.
Definitely off.
And hearing like all our wide receivers kind of dropping like flies. You've seen it in the games, like Chris Olave and Derek Carr, like they just a beat off, like where
it's been like this though.
Yeah, but it's like they complete a pass, but hey, if you hit him in stride, he gone, or he probably getting maybe 10 more yards than what he got instead of getting tackled as soon as he catches it. And so I'm kind of a big fan of them playing a good bit in the third preseason game at home. And like their first 2 series with the starters, like again, that chemistry was a little bit off, but you saw in their third series together with the starters, 16 plays, 95 yards, ran the ball 10 times that drive of the 16 plays, which I think stood out. I think our ability to run the ball was something I liked. I think that helped Trevor Penning, who everybody was talking about for the first preseason game, about how he struggled. I think because we kind of devoted ourselves to the run a little bit more, we know he's a guy that gets his confidence from being able to be physical. So I think that kind of helped him a little bit. Still some things to grow on. So that was really like the offensive starters. Defensive starters.
Let me ask you that. Let me ask you this before you move on to the defense. From week 1, even though we got a little sample size of the preseason with the offense, did you feel they improved from the week 1 preseason with how they moved the ball, how the execution was? And if y'all hear my baby back, y'all, that's baby in the back. Excuse me. Go ahead, bro.
I think they did. Especially the offensive line. Like even the first 2 series where they didn't necessarily move the ball a ton, I still saw some good things. I was like, oh, okay, like had he hit him here or got the ball to Olave here or got the ball to receiver or we, hit a better block here, we would have been better. But I felt like the system was starting to come to life and we could see maybe some of the things we might see throughout the season. So I was happy about that. Obviously, you want to still be able to move the ball a little bit better, except for 1 series, especially going against the number 2s for San Francisco because they didn't play any of their starters on defense. So you want our guys to look a little bit better. But kind of how I mentioned, when you think about how many guys are missing practice on the O-line, the running back room, the wide receiver room, it's showing. And that kind of gives you a little cause of concern because the season's almost here. And if guys can't get healthy in time,
exactly. This is the healthiest you be right? Going into the. You're supposed to be the healthiest you're going to be going into the season because you ain't gonna get more healthier.
Right. So that's scary.
One thing I wanted to touch on that I wanted to ask you as well. Do you think, because what I like from week 2, I loved our running game. I seen a lot of halfback like tosses.
Yeah.
Didn't see none of that last year. It was seldom that we will ever see that. But
HD dive.
I love that. I love seeing those tosses, those stretch plays where we get our running backs out there on the edge, pull a guard here, there. What did you think about the running game? You touched on it a little bit. What you thought about the creativity from Clint doing that, bringing
Yeah,
that zone run to the
yeah.
safety?
We use a little motion
Hmm.
going, so that kind of froze the defense at times. And
Hmm.
I think we're able to generate hosts just to get our running back some room. Like Jamal Williams had a few big runs. James Robinson, when he got some touches, had a few big runs. Jordan Mims did good.
Hmm.
Taysom did really well too. So he getting
Yes,
some running back
yes.
snap. So it was kind of good to see. It's kind of what you think about with the whole Shanahan tree. It uh, survives on the run game and being able to show you one thing and then give you another. So that was kind of I think that was promising just to see how we were able to move the ball
Hmm.
through the run. And hopefully that's something that translates into the season because we've kind of struggled the past few years. So
Yes.
I will say though, and we'll probably get to this when we talk about the 53, is that we are missing the ingredient to this offense that truly makes it great from a running perspective. And that's the
Hmm.
guys that can hit those big plays, those 25, 30-yard runs from the scheme. We got a lot of 10 to 15 yards, which is great. It's still good.
You talking about Kendrick Miller?
Yeah, but he'll be non-existent. I don't know where he at, but
Right.
there's guys like that have that burst, like Christian McCaffrey,
Yeah,
Matt
game changer.
Breida. Guys that can really take it um, to distance. We need some of that big playability. I feel like offense has been like a chore the past few years. Even the last few
A
years of
strain, a
Gruden, we
struggle.
just it's like we used to big play done, and then like
Right.
now it's like here, there, we'll make
Yep.
it. We'll get to the red zone
A
somehow.
stutter and stall out.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
It's like we going uphill with our offense. We fighting to get up there,
mhm.
and we get up there and we roll back down. But let's touch on this 53-man roster. I'm Trey has prepared his 53-man roster with a couple hiccups. He gonna let y'all know about it, but I
Yeah.
try to pull his up to show y'all, but I'm just gonna have to read it off of how he sent it to me. So, but I'm gonna get to this. First, we're gonna start off with the quarterbacks. We
Mhm.
have Trey has four quarterbacks. If you want to count Taysom Hill as a quarterback this year, so which he's really not. We know that. But he has Derek Carr, of course, starter, Spencer Rattler, Jake Hayner, and Taysom Hill. And I assume you have this in order, so you assume Spencer Rattler is QB2.
No, I actually didn't
No,
put it
all
in
right,
order. I just kind of put them as I just kind of thought about them.
okay.
I think when it comes to QB2, I truly don't think we'll know
Hmm.
who the backup quarterback is until we have to know, which basically means something's happened to Derek Carr or they have to pull him, and we see who comes out first. It's probably going to be kind of like the Titans last year. Like everybody assumed Malik Willis had won the QB2 job in
All right.
preseason. Then when Ryan Tannehill got hurt, they had like a practice or whatever, and it was like
And
Will
they
Levis
say
going to be
he's
the
definitely
starter.
not ready, right?
Yeah, so I think, especially based on how they performed in the preseason, like nobody really separated themselves. So I feel like
We got
it's
one
gonna
more
have to go
game.
into the season. We
They
have
gonna
a
get a
whole
lot of
game,
run.
yeah, but them announcing who the backup quarterback is only supposed to appease us.
Right.
Like as long as they know, that's really
Hmm.
all that matters. To be quite honest with you, so yeah.
Okay, gotcha. We're gonna move on to the running backs. Of course, you have Alvin Kamara. This is one where we have a hiccup at, y'all, you guys. And Trey is gonna let you know about this. But Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, the two guys who's gonna be the bell cows. Jordan Mims
Mm-hmm.
and Adam Prentice, which is actually a fullback, but he
Right.
put him on a running back list. So, and Taysom Hill is gonna play some running back this year as well. Clint
Mm-hmm.
Kubiak has showed you that already in the preseason. No Kendra Miller. This is the big story.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Allen had a presser, and it's been very, I would say, dismissive of Kendrick Miller name when he's came up. He just said he's not available, and he don't know if he's going to be able to learn his offense. That was kind of funny to me because I was like, nah, this a new offense for everybody. So,
Right.
so, but what was your thoughts on leaving Kendrick Miller out, and what's your thoughts on Dennis Allen
Yeah.
comments on Kendrick Miller?
Yeah, I mean, Dennis Allen is probably one of the main reasons why I'm leaving him off. And I want to put this caveat that guys that who might be on the IR to start the year, which I
Mm-hmm.
think Kendrick Miller could be one of those guys. I just decided not to keep them on the 53 because technically they aren't until they're available to come back and then you release a guy or put a guy on the practice squad or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But man, everybody want to bash DA and he gives us his reasons too. But I
Definitely.
think he's 1,000% right when it comes to the Kendrick Miller sweepstakes.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a guy that came into mini camp hurt this year,
Right.
which basically means you're not taking care of your body in the offseason. So we
Mm-hmm.
got to deal around that. Then training camp, you get hurt in the first drill, a hamstring. We haven't seen it. So you play a position that's already a physical one, that there isn't a long shelf life. It's probably the most expendable position in all of football.
It
And
is
they
in
have
all
high
of
hopes for
sports.
this guy. We have high hopes for this guy. Like,
We
the
do.
way I talked about, hey, like what we're actually missing is the guy that can take a run, that zone run scheme, 35, 40 yards or even more to the house. Kendra
Man.
Miller has that ability, but he's not able to show it because he hasn't been on the field and
Yep.
he can't stay on the field. And I think there's a frustration brewing with DA because one, I think you go after a guy like Clint Kubiak in his system because you say, hey, I have a guy that can really blossom in this system,
Mm-hmm.
but that guy's not available. And it's a new offense. It's an offense that relies on timing, not just in the pass game, but also the run game. And if
Yes.
you're not on the field and you've never really been in this offense before, it's going to be hard to catch up. And you're seeing guys like Jordan Mims, who I have making a roster, a guy
Mm-hmm.
like James Robinson, who the only reason why I don't have him making our roster is because I think he's played well enough to get on somebody else's roster once the final cuts and everything goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't need a Kendrick Miller to be our everything this year. We needed him to be a guy that could spell Alvin Kamara, spell Jamal Williams, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
have some explosive plays. But
Maybe even
he
share the
just
field with Kamara on a couple third
right. But
downs.
he hasn't shown the ability to stay healthy. And this isn't just a NFL thing. He's only had one great season in college because the other 2 years he was
He
hurt.
was in. Yep. Let me ask
So
you this: with
mhm,
all that being said,
mhm.
do you cut a guy his second year?
I think you do. I mean,
Cut
he's a
him.
third round pick. He's a third round pick. If I can't trust you to stay available,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a guy like a Jordan Mims who's kind of that same mold, has a connection with your starting quarterback and maybe your quarterback too, and Jake Hayner, kind of that
Mm-hmm.
Fresno State connection. Clearly, from what we're hearing with some of the things in camp, he's playing with the ones at points in time,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a really great chemistry in the passing game with Derek Carr. He's just getting the reps and he's looking good. And
Yep.
at this point, he's been available. And somebody mentioned to me on Twitter, it was like, well, he was on the roster last year and Kendra still got more snaps. I said, well, yeah, that's when you had the expectation. You had just drafted Kendra Miller. Jordan was undrafted. But we're going into year 2 of this. You can't keep on denying Jordan Mims at least an opportunity to show that, hey, on Sunday, me with Alvin Kamara, me with Jamal Williams, I can
And
provide
make a
for
couple
you
plays.
what you're
Yep.
looking for. And I feel like the team, especially DA, is getting to that point where I may not want to, but what's the justification for me holding out for a guy that can't stay healthy, especially at the running back position? Like
And
if he was an offensive lineman,
I was
defensive
just about
lineman,
to.
quarterback,
That's crazy.
right?
I was just about to touch on that point because the
Mm-hmm.
Saints they hang on to Peyton Turner. He's been injured.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Davenport was injured. Those are two. Those are two positions though that the Saints desperately need. So
Yeah,
they can't afford to just release them. They have to pray. That's why
right.
Marcus Davenport played his whole contract with the Saints, and
That's
they
why
never
Peyton
cut
Turner
him.
gonna
Didn't
play his
trade him.
whole
Yep,
contract with
Peyton
the Saints, right?
exactly because it is a pressing need for the Saints. Running back it's not that pressing of a need for the Saints, so they could because, like we said, running backs are expendable. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
running backs is just you can find a running back here to provide a little bit of without
Yeah.
spending a high draft pick. So
And the thing, man, and especially with our fan base, bro, like we get so attached to players that it's insane, especially players that haven't really done much to warrant that. Like,
mhm,
oh, you can't. Why are you going to bench a guy his second year in the league? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, national champion college, first round pick. He got benched year 2, right? Like for an undrafted guy in Isaac Pacheco. Like it happens. That's life. Like if you're not producing, they'll find somebody that can produce,
they
especially
definitely
at that
will.
position. There's no reason why I have to keep on beating a dead horse. If he's not going to take care of his body, if he's not going to stay healthy, and I know he wants to stay healthy. It's not like he waking up in the morning saying, "I'm gonna be hurt today." Like
Mm-hmm.
we understand, but how long do you want the Saints to wait? We can
Mm-hmm.
all agree that Dennis Allen is at least on a warm seat, if not a hot seat. Why? Why is he going to wait for a guy that can't produce for him now when he's probably in the most important year of his coaching career to date? So I'm not surprised. That's why I had him off. Somebody mentioned he might be on IR, and I was like, you know what, that's a good point, and so I'll take that into account. But at some point, man, I got to see you on the field, bro. Like
If you're on IR, you're eligible to come back by what week? What,
after 4 weeks, I
5?
believe.
All
I think
right.
it's after 4 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's move on to the offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
We assume our start lineup is very set. Let me zoom in on this
Yeah.
because it's very far. So Fuanga, our rookie pick, should be
Mm-hmm.
our left tackle.
Yeah.
Patrick, I'm not familiar with him. Can
Yeah,
you
that's
give me
Lucas
some
Patrick.
details
He's
on him?
probably gonna be our left guard because he's been starting at left guard pretty much most of camp because Nick's been hurt. So he's probably gonna be
And
our starter. We signed him from the Bears, I believe.
okay, Eric
Mm-hmm.
McCoy, of course, I'm
Mm-hmm.
familiar with him. Cesar Ruiz, another first round draft pick from the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Penning, first round
Mm-hmm.
draft pick again, another
Yeah.
pressing need for the
Mm-hmm.
Saints. He's
Yes.
going to be over at right tackle. He played left guard and left tackle last year.
Yeah.
Um, so what was your thought? And of course, Landon Young, Nick Saldivari,
I don't know how to pronounce his
Udo.
first name, but it's Udo. Yeah, his
All
last
right,
name.
Udo, Udo, and Shane Lemo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, what was your? How do you feel about this offensive line, the starting line? Sit down, baby.
Um, Starting line is just one of the things I think we just have to deal with. One, you would have loved to see Nick Saldiveri. I would have loved to see him in that starting lineup, but much like Kendra Miller, he was a guy that got called out by DA about not being able to keep himself healthy. And so I think he's going to make the roster simply because of the position he plays and the value there. But if he was at a position like running back or wide receiver where you might feel like there's a little bit of expendable component there, I don't think he would be making this roster. But Lucas Patrick coming over for the Bears has experience with this offense, has experience with our quarterback coach who also came from Chicago, so I can see them kind of working there. Obviously, Eric McCoy and Cesar Ruiz, they're going to be your stalemates. And I think Trevor Penning, uh, he at least improved from preseason week 1 to preseason week 2. And DA was kind of talking about, like, hey, he still has an edge over Udo, who can play both the tackle and the guard positions. He's been
Here we
getting work at
go.
both spots.
Here we go.
So, but he's better at tackle, but we've been more than likely putting him at guard.
Mm-hmm.
Landon Young, he actually filled in that left tackle for Fuaga. So I have him kind of as that swing tackle. He can go left tackle or right tackle, depending on any changes we had to make. Still got
Mm-hmm.
Nick Saldiveri on the roster. Kudos to his
Chemistry.
versatility. And Shane Lemo, he actually can play guard and center. He's actually the center that caused one of the fumbles by Spencer Rattler, or a bad snap to Spencer Rattler. But
Mm-hmm.
and there were some guys, like I know we got a 7th-round pick, but I was like, we probably gonna put him on a preseason or a practice squad,
That's why.
something like that. So I was like Shane because he can play the guard position if you need him there. He play the center position, so he's probably the next guy up if something, God forbid, something happened to Eric McCoy. I think Shane would probably be the guy you either slip in the center or you put Cesar Ruiz at center and put Shane or Nick or Udo at right guard.
Let me ask you this: are the Saints one injury away on the offensive line from just being a
I
a,
think
a, a
so.
hell show for
I
Derek
think
Carr?
so. I think so because I mean the starting off the line isn't like
Amazing
something to
either.
write home about, right? And I was always afraid of the depth. Felt like we didn't have a ton of depth on the offensive line, and even some of the guys that I even named, like they're a jack of all
Okay.
trades but master of
Right.
none. You know what I mean? So where am I supposed to put you? Like
Exactly.
depending on who gets hurt is going to be like crazy. Like if we had to replace the right tackle position for any reason, we already had question marks there. I'm not worrying about that. But
Right.
if Fuaga, who was dealing with a back injury, if he goes down, I got to figure out what to do there. If Eric McCoy goes down, I got to figure out that.
It's like we should have kept Andrew Pete, huh?
But he didn't want to come back, so it is what it
I
is.
wouldn't want either after what
Yeah,
they did that bad.
you over in Raider Nation, so it
Man,
is what it is. But that's I don't know. I feel okay about the offensive line, but
Okay.
I can't say outside of our starting five that I'm extremely confident in our reserves. So I'm praying to God that we keep most of them healthy and they're at least playing good enough to where we don't have to go to the reserves as much unless we going in the jumbo packages. So
What I'll say about the offensive line is I believe they're they can make this season for the Saints, and I know you can
mhm.
say this a lot of times, but they can really ruin the season for the Saints.
Oh yeah,
They can make this a 4 or 5 win team
yeah,
if this offensive line is like below average, and they
mhm.
wasn't that good last year.
Right.
Investing into a left tackle, hopefully this shows up in strong side. Hold on, baby.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean the offensive line has kind of been the focal point of the past 6 or 7 years. Like
Yes,
even like
drafting defensive line and offensive line.
yeah,
Like they can't get it. We cannot draft studs
yeah,
on either part of the line. And which brings me to this. We didn't draft this stud, but we got him. And he was a high pick. And I
yeah,
know I'm bouncing from O line to the D line, but Chase Young,
yeah.
Carl Granderson, Cam
Mhm.
Jordan, Peyton Turner, Isaiah Foskey, and you say you wanted, I see, baby. And, say no, you wanted to put Tino on here.
Yeah,
I can't pronounce his last name. I think it's Passingwa, I
passing wise,
believe.
yeah.
So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys on here, and you have special team next to Foskey. Now
Mhm.
he's a second round pick. Peyton Turner's a first round pick.
Yeah,
Cam Jordan, that's old, but Carl
yeah.
Granderson, what pick was Carl Granderson?
Like fifth or something like that. That was like a mid
Okay,
rounder.
so we have two. We have Peyton as a first round pick, Isaiah as a second round pick, Chase Young, he was early drafted
Mhm.
from to the the Commanders.
Mhm.
Um, so you don't think Isaiah Foster is gonna see too much time on the field with the Chase Young pickup and Granderson and Cam?
I think they're going to try to get him in certain packages,
Uh-huh.
especially like that NASCAR and pass rush situations.
Saw a
But he
little bit
was,
of that last
yeah,
game.
but he was pretty big for us special teams last year. That's actually where he got injured. He had to miss the
Yes.
rest of the season on special teams. So I kind of kept him there
Mhm.
because sometimes we think about players and like why the hell they made the roster and we forget there's a whole nother
Yep.
unit on the squad
Exactly.
that being
That's
special
very
teams.
important.
And so he's a guy I think that's going to make it there. And there's really no pressure. I mean, he plays a premium position. They have an older guy in Cam Jordan. They have a guy that just got paid in Granderson. You got a young guy that's trying to get paid in Chase Young.
And
And Peyton,
Turner.
who's a young guy that's trying to stay healthy. And at the very least, when he's on the field, he makes an impact. He had a lot
He
of
makes
almost sacks.
plays. I like him. He
Like
makes
he
plays.
had
He
a
like
lot
a
of almost
Davenport,
sacks.
bruh.
Yeah. And he's one of those guys that has that versatility that we can put him inside,
Yep.
outside. So
Yep. Because he's a
he's one
power
like if he's
rusher.
on the field, he can do some things. He just got to stay on the field. But and so I think from a talent perspective, it's going to be difficult for Isaiah Foskey to get ahead of him. But I think if he works his behind off in practice, they'll find ways to get him on the field if need
You
be.
have to.
But special teams is going to be the thing. And I think because he can't set an edge, like he can't set an edge to save his soul. So that's
I'll
why
say,
first through second down, you can't keep him on the field.
right.
But third down, he can generate enough pressure. So I like to see how we utilize him a little bit more in
Th-
situational football, I guess.
This what I'll say. He couldn't see
Mhm.
the field last year with Peyton
Mhm.
Turner out
Yeah.
and a couple more injuries on the defensive line. So
Mhm.
he's a second round pick. Like when I hear second round pick, I hear like you
Contributor,
should be
right?
seeing like 40-50% of snaps at least. At least second year, you definitely should be seeing at least half the snaps. But they felt it was such a pressing need that we have to go big Chase Young to come here on a 1 year deal, which
Yeah.
I don't mind. Y'all can go big. Go ahead, Dennis and Mickey. Go get which brings me to Chase Young. I was never impressed by Chase Young. And I'm not just gonna give it to Chase Young because he's a new guy, but I was impressed by Carl Granderson as well.
Mhm.
Very excited that I seen Cam Jordan at the D tackle spot on some
Snaps. Yeah.
third downs and some plays. So what did you think of Chase Young performance this game
Uh,
against his old team, the 49ers?
yeah. He definitely showed his athleticism. I still want to see what it looks like against an actual dual threat. I mean,
Right.
Brock can move, but
Exactly. Yeah.
what would it have been the same effectiveness if Josh Dobbs was in there? Because Lord, I was having flashbacks to that Minnesota game.
Jordan Howden.
Watching him. But so I'm still a little bit concerned there. I just want to see what it looks like because we're playing a lot of mobile-ish guys. Even some of the guys that aren't known runners like a Pat Mahomes or Bo Nix, they're not
Definitely a scrambler.
runners, but they can make and extend plays with their legs. And they ain't, I mean, if you turn your back
Bryce
on them, they're
Young.
gonna get those 5-6 yards, even
Yes.
Bryce. So I want to kind of see what it looks like, but it was promising, like the way they were able to get pressure. There was a level of athleticism to at
I
least
love
kind of force the quarterback into some errant throws. But it was good. It was good
it.
to just kind of see. It gave a
You
little.
got to you got to
Uh,
see him more. You got to see more,
I got
huh?
to
You
see
ain't
more.
impressed,
I got to see it when it counts. And obviously,
man.
the big thing is going to be staying healthy, right? So
Exactly. I've been in a drought so long with this defensive line. I saw Chase Young get pressure consistently, even if it was against twos. I saw that. I said, "Oh, we got us one.
I was like, put
We
them in
got us
bubble
one."
wrap. I don't even see anything anymore. So, but yeah, but decent line, good man. I do want finish up with the offense.
Yeah, we go to
I mean,
office.
and I mean, this I mean, with the tight ends and the wide receivers, it is what it
Definitely
is.
receivers.
Jawan Johnson,
Mhm.
Foster Moreau, Dalen Holker, I think are your top three tight ends. Obviously,
Okay.
Taysom is just Taysom,
Yep.
so
All
he
around,
in
jack
there.
of all.
Um,
And your receivers, you got Olave. You want to
mhm.
touch more of the tight ends, or you want to just go to the receivers?
No,
Because
because
the
I think the
tight
tight
ends
end. I
are
think anybody would agree with the tight ends for the most part, especially at least the first two, because
okay.
they under
Got you.
contract, that type of thing. Wide
All right.
receiver, Chris Olave, he got his spot. Rashid
Yep.
Shaheed,
Yep.
I got Cedric Wilson because we paid him to come over, 2-year deal, so I think he's gonna be on there. I got
Yep.
A.T. Perry.
Yep.
I got Bud
Expected.
Means, who we drafted, I believe. Like he was a 5th or 6th round pick for us too. Bud Means out of Pittsburgh,
I
and
expect Bub to make the roster.
and I actually added Equanimous St. Brown.
Yep.
And one of the
You went
reasons,
with a six receiver.
yeah, and I went with 6,
Okay.
just because I feel like there's uh, so many issues in camp have been like the receivers with injuries and things like that. I think
Okay.
we're just going to keep 6 just to be on the safe side. To be
You
quite
don't think
honest
what
with you,
you don't think one of them can just be relegated to the delegated to the practice squad? Or you
they
think they're gonna
could,
go with Shaq Davis or Samson Leclerc? Come on, baby.
but I was thinking like a guy like Samson Nakua, a guy like Shaq Davis, guy like Mason Tipton. I was thinking about those guys being practice squad guys, especially Mason Tipton. Like he's showing the ability to be a deep threat and a really good route runner. But he's also listed as the backup to Rashid Shaheed in terms of a return game. So we know Shaheed's hurt. They say it's not going to be a lengthy amount of time, but who knows what that means, especially the past few years. Like we might think he's going to be back week 1. They'd be like, oh, well, he'll be back week 4. So I think if like a guy like Shaheed isn't available, a guy like Mason Tipton gets called up to be more so the punt returner, kick returner, and then fill in with certain things on offense as needed. So I think that's probably where we're going to have a really good amount of practice squad positions at the wide receiver position. But one of the reasons why I had St. Brown make it, I think he's one of those bigger body receivers. A.T. Perry is probably the only other one we really have on the roster. And so having a guy that can kind of be that across the middle kind of threat. We're talking about running the ball a whole ton this year. So a guy that can do well in the run game as well as blocking. Shout out to Traquan Smith. Uh, block
Baby Hines Ward.
block and get you check. Block and get you a check. And
Man.
again, he's a guy that much like Lucas Patrick is comfortable with our quarterback coach, who is also kind of helping with some of the install on offense. I actually think our quarterback coach called the second half of the first preseason game, if I'm not mistaken. So I can see a guy like Equinemi and St. Brown making it. And I kind of want him to make it because his brother was talking crap. And so I need him to be a part of the success. So
You talking about Amari St. Brown?
yeah, right. Yeah. So when he was
Yeah,
talking all that
talking about
crap,
our
I need his
Saints,
brother
huh?
to kind of be on the rise. So I don't know if we're gonna keep 6. We usually hover around between 5 and 6, but I
Mm-hmm.
think this year, especially with the injuries kind of coming up, I think we might keep 6.
I have to ask you this: do you think the wide receivers are set. Week 3, they still can prove something to make this roster. And I'm talking about basically the St. Browns,
Mm-hmm.
the Nakuas, and the Shaq Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Those three basically.
They can because I mean, quite honest with you, I think outside of Olave, Shaheed, Wilson, and Perry, everything else is open. So
Right. I
everybody
think
has a
they lock.
shot. Yeah, I think everything else is open, and everybody has an opportunity to make a name for themselves. Like if Sampson plays like he played against Arizona, I mean, you don't want to put him on a practice squad and have him get signed away because that will happen.
Yep.
So it's a lot. That's a good question because who knows? But um, like I don't think we got the greatest wide receiver room, but I think
Not at all.
we have a lot of guys, like not stars or anything. And honestly,
Mhm.
I think that's probably what we've been needing. Like you can have your core guys, and you just need to add a few guys that can fit here and there. And I
Mhm.
think that's kind of where we've been behind the eight ball over the past few years is the depth at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, I definitely
So
think we need that because for a good amount of years after Michael Thomas, we did not have nothing. We were searching for
mhm.
a number 2. We snatched up Emmanuel Sanders, but after Michael Thomas, it was just Michael
Yeah,
Thomas,
yeah,
15 targets a game, 12 to 13 catches, 120, 15 yards,
yeah,
and they rolled like that, and that really bit us in the butt of the playoffs a
yeah.
lot with that. Michael got
Yeah.
double teamed, and
But that's man,
man.
that's offense for me, man. Defense, we talked about the DNs, like that's kind of
Mhm,
what I have in it. And I, in my mind, like I was looking at the roster. They have guys that's on IR on a
mhm.
different spot. So I was going down the roster. I didn't even see Tano's name, and I put it. I was like, well, he probably gonna start the season on IR anyway, because I think he had a pretty significant injury, if I'm not mistaken. So I expect him to be out maybe the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season, and probably coming back on strong after that, which
I
I
wa
hope because he's been good too with that his versatility.
I wanna touch on your D tackles. You only have
Yeah.
4. Nathan
Mm-hmm.
Shepard,
Mm-hmm.
Kalen Saunders.
It's yeah.
Kalen Saunders,
Yeah,
right?
it's Caleb. I think it's Caleb.
Nathan Shepard and rookie Christian Boyd, guy we pretty high on.
Mm-hmm.
Only 4.
Yeah.
Why 4?
Four, I mean, I think these are going to kind of be your rotational guys at defensive tackle. They all provide different things. Colin Saunders and Brazil with their athleticism, they can help in the run game, but their ability to get after quarterbacks is going to be big. Nathan Shepard, he is our big run stopper. And Chris Boyd is kind of that big guy as well, but still has a little bit of versatility to get after the quarterback, but he's somebody that you can roll in there. And then thinking about Cam Jordan's going to take these to tackle snaps. Peyton Turner,
Good
we've
point.
seen him go
Good
inside
point.
before. He'll take some
Mhm.
defensive tackle snaps. When Tano comes back, he takes defensive tackle snaps. So
He does. He
I think
does.
we're going to have a lot of guys across our D line kind of rotating in and out at that respective position.
Mhm,
And I felt like four was good because we really only played three last year
mhm.
with being Colin, or Kalen, Nathan, and Brazil. And then that was really it for the most part. So
Yeah,
four
don't
is
don't
kind of a
forget
sweet
our
spot.
guy. Don't forget our guy, Malcolm Roach.
Malcolm Roach, yeah, he gone, man. That sucks. But
He said, "Yeah, he
you know,
go, man."
but
Um,
it got to a point where he wasn't even getting a ton of playing time because they
mhm,
just kind of stuck to those guys. So I feel like we're always going to play about the main three: Saunders, Shepard, and Brazil.
yep,
Boyd probably going to be a guy that, hey, if somebody gets nicked up, we'll put him
yep.
in. So it
O
wouldn't
line
surprise me if
package.
he's a practice squad guy,
Mhm.
um, but I at least put him on there, making a 53.
Okay. I'ma skip over your favorite position right now. I'm gonna come back
Mm-hmm.
to that because I want to knock these out the secondary, which is basically
Yeah.
I think everybody would agree on this
Mm-hmm.
secondary. Lattimore, Adebo, Alante, Kool-Aid, Umadi.
Mm-hmm.
I think nobody should have a problem with that. Those are the 5 that I think
Yeah.
will be out. I'm pretty sad um that we let go our guy. I forget this day, but number 27 last year.
He got some money. I
Filled
know
in with
exactly what you're talking about. Yeedham, Isaac Yeedham, something like
Isaac
that.
Isaac Edom. He was a good player, man. He was a good
Yeah,
player.
he was.
Somebody him up.
And you know what, bro? Like, even though you say like this kind of like the five everybody would agree with, I found it a little bit hard because like a guy
Mhm.
like Rico Payton that's been a
Okay.
standout. Like I wanted to find, like at first I had 6 cornerbacks, and I was like, nah, like that's not likely. Like that's not gonna happen. Like he
It's
might be a
really not
practice
though,
squad
because
guy,
we got injury history with
right?
Lattimore. So
Right. And I was like, he might be a practice squad guy that we bring up when we need depth at the
mhm.
cornerback position. A guy like Rajon Wright,
Okay,
loved him since college when he was a last chance you guy, then went on to Oregon State, graduated.
okay,
So I
college
really
level
like
stuff.
him. So, our corner man is that's just kind of our deepest, like even in preseason,
That
like
is our
those
best
guys are
position.
balling, bro. And so
Yes,
it's hard. Like I know teams that's kind of hurting depth wise at cornerback are looking at our preseason games and like whoever they don't pick up and whoever they don't put on their practice squad, like we about to go get them. And if you got a spot where you can put them on your 53, I'm signing them off the practice squad. Like
I
it's gonna
love
be
it, bro.
hard.
I love our
It's gonna be
cornerbacks. Even during that game against San Fran, where the defensive line had a couple little not no rush,
hard.
too much time in the pocket for the
Yeah.
for down the quarterback. The quarterbacks held up at the back end, which we saw a
Mm-hmm.
lot last season. So, and the safeties, I think most people would agree with the safeties. We did not
Mm-hmm.
grab Justice Simmons. The Falcons snatched him from us, but we
Mm-hmm.
still have OG Tyron Matthews,
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Howden, Jonathan Abraham. I really like Jonathan Abraham when coming out for the draft. I thought he was a
Yeah.
hard hitter, and he still is that.
Yeah.
Really can't cover too much, so you don't want to put him in that position too much. We got
Mm-hmm.
Will Harris and JT Gray, special teams, um, maestro, I should say, because
Yeah.
he and you went with Blake Groupie
Oh,
as
Lord.
reluctantly.
Yeah.
All right,
And I'll tell you, it's something. Shout out to Ross Jackson, Nolo on Twitter.
yeah.
Hope you're a fan of the show.
Shout
But
out Ross.
he brought something like on one of his episodes. He brought something to light that like kind of made me start to think about the kicker position. And
Mm-hmm.
it was like if it's real close, Charlie Smith, who's an international guy from Ireland, technically speaking, he's exempt from being taken off our roster. So
Okay,
like we could theoretically keep Blake Groupie as our starting kicker, and then if something happened or we don't like how Blake's performing throughout the year, call Charlie up and have him. So he kind of locked on our, at least on our in our organization for the next
so
year
how is
because of
that?
some
You know
rules.
how is that? Did he
Yeah,
explain
he
that?
said it was some international clause that's kind of like when international players come over and play with us.
Okay,
I guess just to kind of keep them from moving all over, especially
all
because they
right.
probably moving from another country. They keep you on a roster for at least a year, so you can kind of I don't know the word I'm
Get
looking for.
settled.
Just kind of be good, just get settled. So
Okay,
we could theoretically keep both,
okay.
but from a and I don't want to make the same mistake we made with Groupie and Lutz
Mm-hmm.
last year, where Lutz, it was close. It wasn't like if we stayed with Will Lutz, people would have been mad. But it's like, oh, this young kid, like really young.
Uh-huh.
If he's young and he doing this thing,
All
we
right.
can let Will Lutz go. And then in some of the moments where Will Lutz would have really come up big for us in terms of being like that Green Bay game, historically, Will Lutz gonna make that for us, in
Right.
my opinion. So we had moments where Blake wasn't stepping up to the occasion when we really needed him. And so and I don't want to make the same mistake with Charlie because you might think, oh well, Blake, you can let him go because we got this kid that's kicking almost 70-yard field goals.
The new
And then
candy, the
when
eye candy,
when
new
the
eye
lights get bright, and we need you to hit that 52-yarder, you can't hit it.
the 47 yarder, not the 52, the
Yeah,
47 yarder at home.
so
All right.
it's stuff like that kind of gives me cause to pause. I'm a little scared. So I was like, I'll go with Blake. And then knowing that little clause we have to where, hey, if Blake don't pan out this year, we can always go back to Charlie and re-sign him and all that type of stuff. So that's why I had him. But I did have a change at the punter position.
Okay.
I just don't like Luke Headley. I mean, that's Mr. Touchback. Like me, like I'm used to having a punter man that's somewhat of a weapon,
Mr.
especially when you have a
Morstead.
good defense. Yeah, like Morstead, like this dude was legit a weapon where we putting you down at your one. Like he's
Uh-huh.
probably one of the best punters I've ever seen. And Luke, he has the power to a degree, and well, he has the directional, but he doesn't
Mhm.
have the power and he doesn't have the hang time. And special teams, especially punt specialists, that's been one of our better units for a while. under our special teams coach. So with him struggling, man, like we gonna need him, especially if our offense is struggling a little bit to come out the gate. Like him helping flip that position, or that the punter, I should say, helping flip the position would be great. Now
Mhm.
I put Hayball on here just because he's the backup punter right now. Him and Lou Headley are competing, but I want Presley Harvin from the 49ers because my God, I don't know what he put in that football, but the way he was punting, bro, like the ball will hit the ground. You think it's about to bounce in the end zone, it'll just stop. I'm
Spin
like,
back, spin back.
I'm like,
That's the black punter, right?
yeah, yeah. He from I know he went to college at Georgia Tech, and
He's
then
gonna get
he
picked
was
up.
with
I don't know
Pittsburgh.
by who, but he's
So
gonna get picked up.
I'm like, can we get him? Because he's not even a starter. He was just
I
like,
know.
because they got they starting punter. I guess they just gave dude a break because he's like, look, bro, you're
Yeah, they're
gonna get a
like,
break during the season anyway. Like we hardly gonna use you. Get your
all
rest.
right, he just
So
getting his
they
money.
Yeah, so they giving Presley a chance to earn himself a roster spot somewhere. And I'm like, Lord, like, did y'all get his number or something before y'all left San
Hey,
Francisco?
come here, my man. Before we leave California, come here. Um,
Like, so
now, I would. You want to touch more on that? Oh,
no, that's it. And then obviously Zach Woods long snapper. That's our
all
mainstay
right.
there.
No love to Zach Wood, man. Obviously, Zach Wood long snapper. No love to Zach. Get your money, Zach Wood. Just keep snapping. Now we're gonna go to I think our second, probably deepest position, the
Mhm.
linebacker core. We
Yeah.
got OG, DD, Demario Davis, leader,
Uh-huh.
vet, of the defensive unit with Tyrann Matthews, Pete Warner, our guy. Had some injuries last year. Hopefully he
Hmm.
stays healthy. We got Willie Gay from the Chiefs. I love that pickup. Jackson and I don't know how to
He's
pronounce
like
our
his name
guy
is
name.
like Orgy. His
Orgy.
name's like
Okay.
pronounced.
Um,
This is a family friendly show, but
yes, it is. Y'all
we
know.
can't help names.
Y'all heard baby girl over there. So it's family friendly. We love all y'all, but we can't control nobody names.
Right.
But deep position, you got 5 linebackers. You wanted to go with 6.
I
Give the
did.
people your thought process. Of course, we know the three starters, but
Yeah.
Jackson and Orgy.
I mean, Jackson, like he's been a guy, a draft pick of ours. Has been behind Demario Davis for a few years. Some are hoping that hey, when Demario hangs it up, this is a guy that can take over that position.
Uh-huh.
He's also a big special teamer for us as well. Orgy, I mean, he was flying on my TV screen the whole game against San Francisco, whether it was in the run game, whether it was in the pass game.
He's
Like he
very
was making
small too.
plays.
Not to cut you off. He's very
Yeah,
small.
yeah, he kind of small for what you think of as a linebacker. So that's kind of why he does well, kind of on the outside a little bit, and being a little bit free in how we utilize him. And I was thinking about guys like Nephi Sewell, who's on the injury report right now, and the guy that's over the years has come in and stepped in at that position, whether it be outside linebacker like Sam or Will, or the Mike linebacker in the middle. Like he's played all 3 positions for us. He's probably a guy we're going to put on the practice squad because I think we're going to want to keep him around. Then we got rookie Jalen Ford out of Texas. Now, I don't know if he's heard or anything, but I haven't heard his name a lot. Now he was somebody I was really high on. Really was happy when he signed with us, when we got him.
Mm-hmm.
But I just haven't heard a ton from him. And I was like,
I,
maybe he's a practice squad candidate, but like I didn't feel confident enough saying I'm gonna put him on my 53. But
yeah,
you know,
I don't think so. I think you went right with the 5 guys,
mm-hmm.
and like you said at the beginning, you left guys all who are injured, who we don't know if they're gonna be put on injury reserve, practice squad. So I don't think we could afford to put Jalen Ford out there when we have
Yeah.
capable linebackers who I think, like Orgy and Jackson, going to be. They're probably going to get some spot plays here. That
Mm-hmm.
I know Demario Davis plays them to like 95% of the snaps. So when he's out, Pete Warner comes in, and I don't know how much we're gonna see all 3 of our starting linebackers on the field because the Saints don't do that too much.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that like that since what Scott Shanley, Scott
Yeah.
Kojima, and
Yeah, and Bioma, yeah.
yeah, I haven't seen that like that since that. So I don't know how many linebackers are gonna be on the field at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So um that is your 53-man projection. Like I said, only the differences I had with it was the Tano passing while at the DN and Kendra Miller. I think I hear what DA saying. I I don't know if they're going to give up on him on after a
Mhm.
year.
Yeah,
Um, and I don't. And what is the extent of his injury as well?
hamstring. That's all we know. We don't know
It,
if it's.
you
We
don't
don't know
know,
what
like,
grade it is. We just know it's a hamstring.
okay,
So
so
yeah.
I can see them getting off of him after this season if he doesn't at least
Hmm.
put up some game, because when he played later in the year last year, he made some plays. He made some plays where you looked at it like, okay, that
Yeah.
goes the explosion that we've been missing this year. With Kamara getting old and Jamal Williams not being that big play type of guy.
Hmm.
But like you said, Jordan Mims is on his trail and might be ahead of him according to D Allen right now. So overall, what would you grade this Saints team, this 53-man roster you got? And this is a question we're gonna get to
Man,
the watchers too.
I'm gonna say B minus, and obviously the defense is holding up a lot of that grade point average right
Yes,
there. Just because of the depth there, I think we have a lot of depth on the D line. We talked about the depth of the linebacker and cornerback positions. Safety is the big question mark, meaning who's playing
yes.
next to Tyrann Matthew and how we're going to do that. Um,
You don't have faith in Jordan Howden?
yeah, I do, but I mean, he got to show it. I mean, he's a guy that, like, you know, look,
Yes,
it's hard. It's
that
hard to
goal line
tackle.
missed
It's hard
tackle.
to tackle a Josh Dobbs in open space. I understand that, but like, it's going to be moments where you got to
No,
make that play. You got to
no,
make
man.
that play
I'm not
because
giving him no
from
pass
a
for that
from
trade. Don't give
a
him no pass trade.
from a from a scheme perspective,
Uh-huh.
Dennis Allen diagnosed that to a T.
Yes.
Not only
That's
like
why we cannot give
I
him a
got one on
pass.
one, I got one on fourth and goal, and you got to make that tackle. And like we got to
Quarterback
trust that
and
you
my
can make that
second
tackle.
year safety.
Right. We got to trust that you can make that tackle because as far as investment in the future, you were a draft pick. You're the youngest one in the unit. You got to start showing that you can hold your own weight. And Will Harris, I can't remember his number, but like I saw, I was like, who was that guy? I think he was like number 5. He was showing up on my screen. He was actually in the starting lineup with some of the 3 safety looks with Tyrann Matthew, Jonathan Abraham, and Will Harris. So that maybe was a look into what our starting lineup might be week 1. But I think they will try to give Jordan Howden every opportunity, and he's probably one of the guys that has to show up in this last game against the Titans and make some plays and say, hey, I can do this. But, there's still some question. But nevertheless, there's still some question marks. So we know Jonathan Abram, what he is as a hitter. He
Right.
can't cover. Will
And
Harris, you kind of new to the scheme. We got to figure out, what you look like. Are you a guy that we can actually rely to start? Or are you a guy that comes in spot duty?
right.
So there's some questions there. And obviously, JT is getting playing time at safety.
Something went
We
wrong.
down bad. We down bad.
It must
And
be a
then
Hail
offense,
Mary.
man. I mean, offense, well, my question marks really are uh,
Everywhere.
quarterback position going with Derek Carr, but also who's behind him. What does that look like? Are those guys ready? You don't really know.
Mm.
Running backs, having Kamara on a 1-year deal, essentially. Jamal Williams, is he going to bounce back from last year? Kendra Miller, is he available? Can a guy like Jordan Mims? So there's still a lot of question marks. And
Mhm.
some would say, well, Alvin Kamara is not a question mark. I would say, where have you been the past 3 years? Because I just
Hey,
been wondering what's going
you
on.
know my take on Alvin.
Yeah,
You gotta show me something, brother. Come on
and
now. I need a Christian McCaffrey year from him.
offensive line depth, I'm concerned. I'll just say that. And wide receiver depth. I've
Yes.
been, I don't know if you've been those on Twitter, like I've been posting like the gifs or the gifts of Hunter Renfro, and I'm like, they pretty much opening the red carpet for him because y'all can't stay healthy in practice. The guys
Nobody
behind
standing
the
jumping
goal
off the
line,
screen.
like nobody jumping off the screen. You're basically just opening up the red carpet and just giving him a spot in the room because it's going to happen. And here's the thing: yes, we're learning new offense. Yes, it's about timing, but they're going to say that's Derek's best friend.
You
They're
know what I'm gonna
close.
say?
They know each other like the back of the hand, and I can't argue against bringing in a guy like Hunter Renfro based on what I've seen from the wide receiver core thus far.
I can't argue it as well, even though I don't think very highly of Hunter Renfrow at the wide receiver position. I
Mhm.
think he probably would be like Derek Carr's safety blanket. They would have a
Yeah, I
good
agree.
connection. Um, and that might be good for Derek Carr, but I just don't want to see Derek Carr
You don't want to see
just
him happy.
I,
Yes, I don't want
I
to
didn't want
see
to say that. I
that.
just don't want to see him funnel players from the Raiders. Like, well, it
Okay.
gives me Aaron Rodgers vibes.
Okay,
I
that's
don't want
fair.
to see that type of.
That's fair.
That's why I stopped because it sounded like I was about to say I don't want to see Derek Carr have his way. I would love to see Derek Carr have a great year,
Yeah.
but let's just have it within the system without controlling,
Yeah.
without being part-time GM, something like that. This
I'm
ain't
gonna ask you.
basketball.
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Mhm.
Say week 4, week 5, wide receiver still looking iffy. Should he in and out of the lineup?
Mhm.
Cedric Wilson, AT Perry, they not really stepping up. What you think about calling 13 if he's available?
Man, I don't know, bro. I would do it based on me, but the relationships in
Yeah.
the locker room. I just
Mm-hmm.
think him and DA. I don't know their relationship, but I just don't know if Michael
Yeah.
Thomas has enough respect for
Right.
Dennis Allen to come back to the Saints. And I
Right.
think they'll have better suitors. I don't see why
Yeah.
if something going wrong with the Chiefs, he don't go there.
Right.
That's like the Cowboys. They could definitely use him. I
Mm.
don't see. I don't know why he's still a free agent at this moment, but he's probably
Yeah.
rehabbing.
I was help.
He
Yeah.
just probably trying to pick his spot after training camp,
Mm-hmm.
seeing who get cut, things like that. But
Yeah. And I had
I
somebody
think,
pose that question to me too, and I was just like, I love it, but to your point, is like the relationships, and then like if Hunter come in,
mhm,
Hunter's just trying to get in where he fit in.
right.
If Mike come back, like
He's
everybody
top
goes
three
against
receiver.
It's Mike Thomas. Like
Like
he
he
got the
controls
history there.
the he
Right.
controls the middle of the field. Wherever he's at, he controls that 1 through
Mm.
12 yard range. And we don't have that type of receiver right now.
Yeah.
Shaheed is
Yeah.
over the top. Olave is intermediate.
Yeah.
Here you go, love it. Sorry, Trey, brother.
Oh, you
But
good.
Olave is intermediate type guy. Cedric Wilson is a slot guy, but he's not physical like Michael
Mhm.
Thomas. He can't make those contested catches with a guy draped over his back. So I would love to see it, but I just don't know if that relationship is there with the
I
I know it's
feel
a
you.
new coaching staff, but the head coach is still
Yeah.
there. So I
Hey,
don't know.
Juju Smith-Schuster, hey,
I'm
send us
not
your
mad at
highlight
Juju
reel.
either. I'm a USC fan, so I was
Yeah, send us
very
the
high on
highlight
Juju
reel,
coming
dog.
out. Huh?
I said, send us the highlight reel. We'll show all the highlights with Ben Roethlisberger at quarterback. We'll
Yeah.
take on a campaign.
Yeah, my guy,
Yeah.
he was hurt a lot last year, so he probably should be fresh and ready to go. But let me ask you this: you rated us a B minus.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to rate the defense separate, so I want to see how this balances out.
Okay.
Defense and the offense.
Defense, I give an A, and offense, I
Okay,
give a C. Like
okay,
that's why I kind of get to my B range.
okay. I got you.
Um, and
Uh,
I'll do specialist. Specialist probably a C plus.
got you. For my defense, I'm gonna give them a B,
Mm-hmm.
only because the defensive line I have to see it
Okay.
consistently. In
Fair.
the offense, you said what you said.
I gave him a C.
Mine would be C minus,
Okay.
close to D plus, because one inch away from a D plus with this offensive line and his inconsistent wide receiver play. Like I said, I'm very hard on our stars, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Olave, he was the 14th pick, 12th pick by us,
12.
12th pick.
I believe. Something like
We
that.
haven't drafted a wide receiver that high, and I don't know how long. So
Long time. I thought he was long.
I expect him to have a CD Lamb type jump year this
I
year. I
swear. I
need to
hope
see
so.
that. So that's what I'm gonna leave it on. Once again, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. You know the facts. Segment. Thanks. Baby girl dancing over here. She
Yeah, I'm ready for the season 2. Let's go.
look, y'all. She getting it. Don't stop now. she gonna watch it later and be like, "That's that there. That's me." But Bayou Ballers podcast, y'all. Any last words from Trey?
Nah, man. Look, just hoping we see some improvements this weekend against the Titans. Maybe some things that can really make us confident for this upcoming season. Y'all know next episode we're gonna actually go back, revisit our predictions, see if we have any changes, and
Mhm.
get ready for this upcoming season, which will be a thrilling one. I hope in
Yeah,
more
it
ways than
will. It
one.
will be. Y'all know we did our schedule predictions. What, a month ago?
Yeah.
Both of us landed at 10 wins. Um, we might revisit a couple games, seeing how the roster look. And we might take a win off, or add a loss, or add a win. You never know. We might wind up at 11 wins, or we might wind up at 5 wins. And they also saw that too. They predicted us being a 5-win team. You
I
saw
saw
that?
that. I saw that. That was disrespectful. Kurt
That
Benkler
was
got to
pretty
see me, dog.
disrespectful
He got to see
because
me.
they had 4 other teams with 5. They had Carolina at 5. I know you guys Bryce Young, but they had Carolina at 5. I'm like, they had a couple other teams at 5 too, and like one team like at 3. I think it was New England.
Yeah,
But that was very disrespectful.
very.
And one last question for you: Derek Carr was rated a 75 on Madden. Is that a good rating, fair rating?
I think that's fair. It's pretty mediocre. That's who he is. So fine with me.
Damn, we ain't gonna never get Derek Carr on the show, Trey, bro. Come on, man.
Man, look, I don't want the California Texas accent on the show anyway. Now he probably got a little bit of that Cajun New Orleans in there now, and I ain't gonna know what he's saying. So
Bring me the rattlesnake to the Bayou
bring
Ballers
me Lord
podcast, man.
Slytherin. Hey, Jake Haney can be on this thing.
Yeah, bring Jake. We don't got no
cool.
nickname for you, Jake, but Jake from State Farm. Bring him on here. We'll take him. But I like you said, bring Lord Slytherin. I'll take the rattlesnake, man. Randy Orton. But that's it, you guys. We love y'all. Keep watching, keep viewing. We gonna start adding some polls, and questions for y'all to answer on our Twitter. I guess we can add them to the YouTube as well.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna be making a Bayou Ballers YouTube channel, so you guys can just get all the our shorts and videos from there. But other than that, y'all have a good day. Let's hope these Saints beat the Titans. It really doesn't matter, but let's still hope we get a 2-1 win. Tickets are $1. Y'all go see this our first home game.
Yep.
First home game preseason. So y'all get to tune into that. All right, y'all.